Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. You guys sent in a ton of articles about beavers, and I gotta say, I'm really excited to dig into this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So we're gonna uncover some pretty cool things about these, like, quote, nature's engineers.
Right.
And, like, just what keeps them going, what they eat, all that.
Absolutely.
So you're telling me these master builders are picky eaters.
Oh, yeah.
I always just kind of pictured them munching on just about anything.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. Beavers are strict vegetarians. Like, their digestive systems are specifically designed to handle a plant-based diet,
Oh, wow.
unlike some of the other animals that share their habitat.
Okay, that is really interesting. So what does a beaver's menu look like? Like, throughout the year, what are they eating?
Well, it actually changes with the seasons,
Oh, cool.
and it really shows just how resourceful these animals are.
Okay, so let's start with spring.
Okay.
What are they digging into when everything's, fresh and new?
Yeah, so in spring, it's all about fresh growth. So you'll find them going for tender leaves, buds, and a variety of aquatic plants.
So they're, like, in tune with the seasons, even their food choices.
They are.
So what about when summer hits? Do they, like, switch things up?
For sure. As summer comes around, they add more aquatic plants to their diet, and they even start enjoying some fruits and twigs.
Okay, so they've got, like, their salads and their fruit platters going on.
Right.
What happens when it starts to cool down?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. In the fall, you see them focusing on storing woody materials.
Oh.
And that's crucial because their digestive systems can actually extract more nutrients from those tougher plants in the winter.
So they're, like, stocking up for
Yeah.
the colder months.
Yeah, it's like they have their own built-in pantry.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another really cool adaptation. Their teeth. They never stop growing.
Wait, their teeth never stop growing.
Never stop growing.
That just seems like a problem.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually essential to their diet. All that chewing on wood helps keep their teeth at a manageable length.
Oh, so it files them down, basically,
Exactly. It keeps them from growing too long.
and interfering with eating.
Exactly.
Wow. Nature has a way of working things out.
It does.
So I'm curious, like, what are some of their, like, absolute favorite foods on this vegetarian menu?
Well, they seem to have a particular fondness for the inner bark of certain trees, like aspen, willow, birch, maple, and poplar.
Ah, okay, so, like, all the trees that you would find near water.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Do we know, like, why they prefer those trees?
It's most likely a combination of factors. They're readily available near the water, which makes them easier to access, and they probably offer a good nutritional balance for the beavers.
Yeah, they're not just going for taste. They're making sure they're getting what they need.
Right.
What about the aquatic plants? Do those play a role?
Oh, absolutely. Aquatic plants, like water lilies, cattails, and pondweed, they're packed with vitamins and minerals, perfectly complementing the carbs they get from the tree bark.
So it's like they've created their own balanced meal plan.
They really have.
And just like us, they probably enjoy a little variety.
Of course.
Do they ever munch on, like, fruits and veggies?
Yeah, they will if they're available.
Okay.
Just adds a little sweetness to their
I
diet.
have a little bit of a sweet tooth.
Yeah, you could say that.
Now I'm picturing them gathering all this food. Like, how do they go about actually collecting this stuff?
Well, those ever-growing teeth aren't just for show. Their strong incisors are their primary tools, and they use them to fell trees, like with incredible efficiency.
So they're like little lumberjacks. What happens after they, like, cut the tree down?
They use their powerful bodies to drag those branches and logs back to their lodges, and this is where their ingenuity really comes in.
What do they do with all of it?
Well, they use it for building their dams and lodges, of course,
Okay.
but they also create underwater food caches.
Oh, wow. They're not just building homes, they're building their own grocery stores.
They are.
These beavers are seriously impressive.
They are.
And all that planning for the winter months is really critical.
It is.
It's not just about gathering food, it's about strategically preparing for when resources are scarce.
Exactly.
They really are the ultimate planners.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why they're called nature's engineers.
Right.
They have this amazing ability to shape their environment,
Yeah.
adapt to the changing seasons,
Absolutely.
all while sticking to this really strict vegetarian diet.
It's true.
But it's not just about their survival, is it? It's about their impact on the whole ecosystem.
Right. And that's where their role as ecosystem engineers
Yeah.
really becomes important.
Okay, hold on.
And it's pretty amazing.
You're telling me these vegetarian builders actually have a big impact on their environment?
Oh, absolutely. That's what we'll talk about in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, everyone, you heard it here first. We're just scratching the surface of this amazing world of beavers. Stick around because we're about to uncover how these seemingly simple creatures have this ripple effect on their entire ecosystem. All right, everyone, welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how beavers, despite being these, strict vegetarians, they really make a mark on their environment.
Right.
I'm ready to hear more about this, ecosystem engineer thing.
Yeah, it really is fascinating. So their need for food and shelter, drives them to build dams, right?
Yeah.
And those dams end up totally transforming the landscape.
Okay, so I can kind of picture it. Dams create wetlands.
Right.
So is it just a bunch of soggy ground, though? How does that change things?
Well, think about it this way. Those wetlands become habitats for a huge range of different species.
Oh.
They wouldn't be there without the beavers.
Oh, wow.
Fish, amphibians, birds, insects, the biodiversity of an area just explodes thanks to beavers.
So they're creating entire ecosystems just because they need a place to live and store food.
Pretty much.
That's incredible.
And it goes beyond just creating habitats, too. Remember all those trees they fell for the dams and lodges?
Uh-huh.
Well, those play a key role in nutrient cycling.
Now, wait a minute. How does cutting down trees help the environment?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but when a tree falls, the canopy opens up right.
Okay.
And sunlight can reach the forest floor. And that new sunlight stimulates new growth
Oh.
and lets different plant species thrive.
So it's like giving the forest a makeover.
Yeah, you could say that. And as
Yeah.
those trees decompose, they release nutrients back into the soil.
So it's like natural composting.
Yeah, they're like nature's composters.
Yeah.
And that process is super important for a healthy ecosystem.
I never would have guessed all that. And it all comes from an animal that just wants to eat plants and build a nice little lodge for itself.
Right.
What else do those dams do?
Well, besides boosting biodiversity and nutrient cycling, they also help regulate water flow,
Okay.
which can have a huge impact on the environment. It reduces the risk of flooding and erosion.
Oh, wow. So they're like natural flood control.
They are.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
It's like they're demonstrating how everything's connected in nature.
Yeah, every action has a consequence. And with the beavers, those consequences are mostly good for the surrounding ecosystem.
It makes you appreciate how much we can learn from nature.
It does.
I'm just observing.
Right.
Even from creatures that seem so simple, like
Yeah.
beavers.
Yeah.
It sounds almost too good to be true, though. Are there any downsides?
With any species, sometimes their presence can lead to conflict,
Oh.
especially when human interests are involved.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, their dam building, it's great for the environment,
Uh-huh.
but it can sometimes interfere with things like agriculture
Okay.
or, cause flooding in areas where people don't want it.
So it's like two different visions for the same space?
Exactly. And we have to remember those conflicts aren't the fault of the beavers. They're just acting on instinct,
Hmm.
following their natural behaviors.
Yeah.
The challenge is finding ways to balance those behaviors with human needs.
So how do we do that? How do we find that balance?
Well, luckily, there are a lot of new approaches being used to deal with these conflicts.
Mm.
One is using what are called flow devices.
Okay.
They're installed in the beaver dams, and they help regulate water levels.
So they don't cause unwanted flooding.
Exactly. So the beavers can keep building their dams, and people can have peace of mind knowing that their property won't be flooded.
So everyone wins.
Exactly.
Are there other things people are doing?
Yeah, there are other techniques too, like wrapping trees with a protective mesh
Oh.
to stop the beavers from chewing on them.
Okay, so they can't get to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good strategy for areas where they need to protect specific trees.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, if the conflict just can't be resolved, they'll relocate the beavers to a
Yeah.
more suitable habitat.
Oh, wow. So it's all about finding ways to adapt
Yeah,
and coexist.
it is. Sometimes we have to make adjustments to the environment, and sometimes it means giving the beavers a new home
Right.
where their activities won't cause problems.
Yeah. So we recognize that we share this planet with other species.
Yes.
And we're figuring out how to live together.
Exactly. It's all about a sustainable future
Yeah.
for everybody.
Okay, well, in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore those human-wildlife interactions a little more and talk about how we can strive for a more harmonious coexistence with these awesome ecosystem engineers.
We're back for the final part of our beaver deep dive.
Yeah.
And we've learned so much about their diet, how they, impact their ecosystems,
Yeah,
but also how that can sometimes lead to conflicts with humans.
right.
What are some examples of those conflicts? What actually happens?
Okay, so imagine like a beaver dam causes a stream to overflow
Okay.
and it floods a nearby farmer's field.
Oh, no.
or like someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Or think about, beavers taking down trees.
That were meant for harvesting timber. Those are the kinds of situations that can cause problems for people.
Yeah, you can see both sides, right?
Right.
Like on one hand, you've got the beavers just doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And then you have human activities that are important too.
Exactly. And it's not the beaver's fault.
Right.
They're just acting naturally.
Yeah.
So we have to find ways to make things work.
So how do we do that? How do we find that balance?
Well, there are a lot of really cool approaches.
Oh, good.
One is using what are called flow devices.
Okay.
They're installed in the beaver dams,
Uh-huh.
and they basically help regulate the water levels.
So they can still build the dams,
Right.
but it doesn't cause flooding.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cool.
And there are other techniques, too, like wrapping trees with a protective wire mesh
Okay.
that stops the beavers from chewing on them.
So they can't even get to them.
Right.
That's smart.
And then sometimes, if nothing else works, they'll relocate the beavers to a better spot.
So they're not causing problems.
Exactly.
It's all about compromise.
It is. Sometimes we have to make adjustments to the environment.
Right.
And sometimes it means moving the beavers to a new home.
Yeah. And we're recognizing that we share this planet with other species.
Yes.
And we need to figure out how to live together.
Right. A sustainable future for everyone.
This whole deep dive has been so interesting.
Yeah.
We've learned so much about beavers.
It's amazing how much impact they have.
Yeah, from their diet to, how they build those dams.
It's true. And those dams change everything.
And it can lead to problems.
Sometimes.
But luckily, people are coming up with solutions.
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
can coexist with these amazing creatures.
Yeah. So what's like the one key takeaway? What do you hope people remember?
I think the main thing is that even small creatures like beavers can have a huge impact.
Yeah.
Like their vegetarian diet and the dams they build.
Uh-huh.
Those things shape the landscape.
Yeah.
They influence other plants and animals.
It's all connected.
It really is. Biodiversity is essential for a healthy planet.
Couldn't have said better myself. Well, that wraps up our beaver deep dive. We hope you learned something new and that you have a new appreciation for these incredible ecosystem engineers. And until next time, keep those questions coming and keep exploring the natural world.